I had coffee with a founder CEO this morning, and he was telling me a little bit about his company and kind of the transition and the growing pains that they're going through. There's a couple of employees that he's like, they keep telling me they're super busy, but I'm not entirely sure what they're doing or what the value is of it. I don't question they're working hard, but is it worth all of that time and effort? And he's like, I just haven't had time to really look at that. And I wonder if that might be another kind of symptom of a lack of vision. Is you could have people well-intentioned, working very hard, putting in a lot of hours and a lot of effort. But if we're not clear on why we're doing that, it could be a lot of wasted effort.
Oh, yeah. There's the stereotypical, we all want to do good work. Most of our workforce are good people and they want to do a good job and they want to earn their paycheck, but it's activity at the expense of accomplishment. They're not really accomplishing anything. They're doing a lot of activity that keeps them busy. And then when they're, because that doesn't actually achieve the result, then when the accomplishment has to come, then that's spent in extra innings, if you will.
Right.
And that leads to burnout. And I think sometimes as, managers and executives, we're kind of as long as the person's getting the result, we don't care, but we don't often see the burnout because of the lack of vision. If the vision or the definition of the role is not clear enough, and what is it? I forget the phrase. You'll probably catch it when I say this, is if you don't give them a plan or guidance or a framework or whatever the parameters, they're going to come up with their own parameters to get the job done. And if it's unclear, then that's where it leads into activity. If you don't provide that vision and that level of and a little bit of journey to guide them, then you're going to have an exorbitant amount of activity to achieve the same goal, which leads to burnout.
I would say as I look back on my career, I've experienced burnout in a couple of places. I think for me, primarily, it would be trying to juggle too much personally and professionally at the same time. Not the Ryan Hodges, I'm running 12 companies at the same time problem, but just, kind of a lot on multiple fronts. But I've also felt the burnout from, I would say, like a very inefficient organizations. Like being part of a larger organization, things are just so much harder than they need to be to get done. I'd be curious as to how you would diagnose this one, because I don't think it was as much a lack of vision, although it could be. What it felt like, though, was a lot of legacy processes. Like we've just always done this. And so we continue to do it, but we don't really know why we're doing it. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done, but nobody can tell me why.
Ooh.
And maybe it was important a while ago, but like we're not allowed to ask if it's still important.
Where processes are either sacred cows or, we don't want to offend somebody because they invented this process, 10 years ago. Or my favorite is I was in a meeting once and I was asking why the process was 37 steps. And I was promptly corrected by one of the founders jokingly. And then as he was saying it with tears in his eyes, crying, he says, it's not 37 steps. He says it's 37 pages. And I don't know how we got to 37 pages of steps to do this process, and we need to fix it. But all we know how to do is the 37 pages.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So favorite story from this one. I was part of a large organization that would do monthly business reviews. And so they tried to look at everything top to bottom in this business every 30 days. This one gentleman was kind of the GM of a particular line of business. I think it was like over $100 million of revenue. So it was a big business, and he had to put everything onto one slide because that was the direction, is I need a one slide update from your line of business for everything that's happening. So what he would do is he would write the whole thing out and then shrink it down to like 4 font. I mean, it was just like microscopic. And it was kind of an FU to whoever his manager was, that he's like, I'm going to do it, but it's not going to be helpful. And then in the middle of this one PowerPoint slide, at 4 font, which was microscopic, I think I actually did get a magnifying glass out to read it. There's this line that says, I bet you haven't read this. And if you come to my office and point this out, I'll give you $20. And it was basically proving that nobody is really paying attention to these processes. Like we were doing this, but we don't really know why.
Okay, I got it. All right, here's what we're going to run with. So I agree with that, and that's funny. That's like the Eminem writer that's in the contract for I can't remember which band. I'm going to be ridiculed for not remembering the band because it's a famous one. It's like Rolling Stones or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. The green M&Ms.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I thought it was brown. Is it green?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's brown.
Okay.
Maybe it's brown.
Anyways, it's funny because I think so many times we get into an IQ mindset and we think very logically, and we're like, this is the ideal process. And the issue is like we invent this theory in our head that this is what it's going to be. And then the second that the employees on the street, they're like looking at it's like looking at the map and then looking at the roads. And it's like, this map does not match reality here. And I have to go down this road. And so then what do? They just throw it out the window because it's useless.
Right.
And then what does somebody do? We duct tape another component onto it. And then we duct tape another component on it. And we duct tape another component because we didn't account for the journey we were trying to go on. And that's how it ends into 37 pages.
Right.
Because we didn't actually understand the vision or the destination we were trying to get to. And that's the what is it? Book smart, street smart. Too many processes are invented and created in the book smart mindset because we envision this perfect world. And the reality, they fall apart in the street. And that's why they get tossed out by the everyday employee. I'm sure you can ask anybody in any organization, how much do you follow the processes by the T? And you're probably going to get, 10 out of 10. Like, what processes?
What processes?
They don't make sense.